Welcome to the Girl Talk Mental Health. Girl Talk Mental Health dares to go where others won't. We unpack the hard truths about mental health, dissect trending topics, and challenge the stereotypes and stigmas holding us back. From navigating the 6 dimensions of wellness to redefining social norms, this is more than a discussion. It's a revolution in how we care for our minds and souls. Ready for bold, honest conversations that spark change? Let's dive in. It's time for real talk with real impact.
Behind the muscles and medals, many athletes are mentally bleeding in silence. This week on Girl Talk Mental Health, we're exposing the hidden truth. Success on the field doesn't mean peace off of it. If you've ever said man up or thought athletes have it all, this is your wake up call. Because while athletes train their bodies relentlessly, they're often discouraged from training their emotional resilience. My guest today, Ms. Danielle knows this powerful topic, athletes and mental health behind the game face. So welcome, Ms. Danielle, to the scene.
Thank you so much, Virginia, for having me today. This is a topic I'm really passionate about. So my name is Danielle Vallas. I'm coming from Buffalo, New York. I am a licensed mental health counselor, working primarily with athletes and young adults, and adults around a variety of mental health issues. I really became passionate about this topic after I was a college athlete myself, and then I coached high school sports for about 20 years. And all of my athletes kept coming to talk to me about their mental health issues. And as a result, I decided to go back to be a therapist. And as a therapist, I've decided to really focus on athletes because we were seeing so many of our athletes struggling with mental health and struggling in silence. Because just as you said, there's this pressure to man up, be tough, don't show your emotions, just leave it all on the field. But our athletes are humans too, and we really need to help them identify their emotions, help them learn how to be their best selves on the field and off the field.
Plenty athletes appreciate you helping them to tap into that vulnerability of having to be tough all of the time. So you ready to dive into this conversation today?
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So when did you first realize that mental health was impacting athletes' performance?
I mean, like I was saying, it's as a coach, a lot of coaches think it's about the X's and O's, winning games and tournaments and championships. But as I was coaching high school sports, I was seeing my athletes coming to talk to me about their emotions, about struggles on the field and off the field. And I was saying, they need support. We need specific support for our athletes. And then I went back to school to become that therapist. And then most recently, I would say about 3 years ago, there was a handful of collegiate athletes who died by suicide in a matter of a handful of weeks, including Katie Meyer, who was a soccer player at Stanford University. They actually just put out a documentary about her life. There's a variety of other collegiate athletes who died by suicide. And I really said, why are we waiting till our athletes are in this level of distress? Right? Our athletes are struggling, so we need to do something about it. And in addition to being a therapist that specializes in athletes, I started a company where we work with high school and college athletes in a prevention mode, working with the athletes, working with coaches, working with parents to help them understand the mental side of sports, the mental health side of sports, not just sports performance, but the mental health part, the pressure, the stress, the anxieties, the identity piece of being an athlete too. So really through all of that is really where this is kind of grown organically from.
So what personal experience do you have that kind of ties you into this athlete and mental health experiences?
Yeah. Well, I grew up as an athlete, and then my original degree was in health and physical education because I like to coach sports. So as I said, coaching high school sports, youth sports really, led me into this. And watching the game of high school athletics change and college athletics change, so much is being asked of our coaches, not just the X's and O's, but to really support our athletes on and off the field. And many of our coaches are not being trained to do this. So my years of as an athlete, my years as a coach, really kind of shaped me into what I'm doing today.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
So, how does the culture of toughness in sports affect an athlete's ability to be vulnerable or seek help?
Oh, that's a big one, Virginia. I mean, I think this idea, I often describe athletes as like an iceberg. Right at the top of the iceberg, we have that mental toughness. We have the win, the championships, the wins, they have it all together, right? We really idolize our athletes, like, woo, they're doing it all. But underneath that iceberg, we see things like anxiety, depression, self doubt, pressure to please their parents, their coaches, their teammates. We see eating disorders. We see a limited identity. We see a lot of mental struggles underneath the iceberg. But as a whole, what do we think of athletes? We think that they have to be tough. They can't be weak. If they show their emotions, they're weak. But what we know about emotions as therapists, right? Our emotions are our superpower. Right? When athletes can learn to tap into their emotions on and off the field, they're going to play better. They're going to have better relationships. They're going to feel better. Where emotions are something I don't want athletes to be afraid of. I want them to learn how to harness those emotions to help them be better on the field and better off the field.
Right. And as a coach to mental health, I mean, as a mental health coach to athletes, what's like one of your most powerful, or if you think of one of your, one of your clients, what
Right.
is one thing that you've had to tell them or coach them to help them to break through that iceberg?
Oh, I would say I talk a lot about failure, mistakes, and not being afraid of that. Right? Learning how to make mistakes is a part of growth, right? I always say if you're not making mistakes, maybe you're not challenging yourself enough as an athlete. Learning how to get out of that comfort zone to fail, right? Fail and fail forward, right? Make the mistake and learn from it, right? Not to be afraid, not to play with fear and play scared. And so we can allow athletes to learn to be vulnerable, learn to make mistakes, learn to go with the ups and downs. It's something I talk about all of the time, kind of letting go of that perfectionism, letting go of just success only, getting out of the comfort zone to just be better. Because when you can fail, you learn. Mistakes, it's an opportunity to learn and grow, which is what we want our athletes to do.
In your consulting or coaching or therapy practice, do you travel? Or you
Yeah,
just, local? Okay.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
good to know.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so like I said, I'm located here in Buffalo, New York, but I work with teams, athletes, coaches all over the country. So I go out and do keynote speaking on this topic. We run workshops with college teams. We will go and spend some time on a college campus to work with multiple teams at a time. I also offer what I call athletic wellness coaching, which is a great program I've developed between when athletes maybe don't need to see us as therapists, but they need more than what their coach can provide them. Athletic wellness coaches are trained, certified coaches that work specifically with athletes around mental and emotional agility, around identity outside of their sport, sleep and nutrition, things that are going to help their mental health, but also help their mental performance. And so that program is fantastic because it can be done virtually. So, I have coaches who are located all over New York State, but they work with athletes all over the country, high school and college athletes that just need a little bit of support, mental health support, maybe not therapy, like I said, but just a space where they can talk about the pressures and the challenges that they're facing and then learn a lot of skills. I mean, I'm all about the skills and the tools. We teach athletes tools and skills all the time, like performance skills, but what about the mental performance skills? We want to make sure they're prioritizing mental health just like we're prioritizing physical health for our athletes.
Now, is that in connection with, and I don't know the correct term, I watch it on the news, like when they have the impacts to their head all the time. What is that called?
Concussion. The
Yeah,
concussion,
yeah, and then they end up with the disease that's
CTE. Yes.
CTE. Okay, see, school me because I don't know. I know, but I don't know the technical name.
Yes.
Now, is
Yes.
that connected to like
Absolutely.
afterwards they have mental health challenges after they have those concussions and the CTE?
Absolutely. Yes, there's a lot of connections between concussions, head injuries, and then potentially CTE, but 100% there's an increase of anxiety, depression, mental health struggles after head injury. So we always want to make sure when athletes are injured, doesn't matter what part of their body, that they are getting support to return to play, not just physically, but also mentally, right? Especially with a head injury, because it's invisible. Right. And so someone could have a head injury, but look normal, act normal, seem normal, whatever normal means, right? Healthy, but inside their brain is struggling. And so we want to make sure that before an athlete returns to play, that they're getting a full return to play protocol physically and mentally. A lot of athletes after injury struggle with anxiety returning to the field. They're afraid of getting hurt again, or they struggle with identity that they used to be a starter on the team, but now that they've been injured, what happens? Do I have my starting spot? Will I come back as strong as I was before? Did I lose my edge when I was injured? So injury is a huge thing that we work on with athletes, and the mental health, that anxiety and depression, and managing that stress and that pressure that often comes along with being injured and then trying to return to play.
Yeah, that's good. So this is a great place for us to have a quick commercial break, and then we're going to dive into the second part of this. That way people can grab a beverage, grab your notebook, grab your favorite pen so that you can write down some notes and just be able to help the athlete, because most of us aren't athletes, so we may know an athlete, or you can be a spokesperson for the athlete at your school if you're a teacher or something. So we'll see you back for the second half of Girl Talk Mental Health.
You weren't meant to break. You were set apart. What if your deepest pain was the birthplace of your greatest purpose? Meet Gingerbread, a child caught in the chaos of her mother's depression and suicide attempts. She never asked for trauma, shame, or to feel invisible, but she found something greater. Set Apart, the journey to find hope through loneliness, shame, and death is more than a book. It's the breakthrough you didn't know you needed. If you've ever said, "I'm fine," when you were falling apart, if you've ever thought, "This story isn't for me," it is. Don't let fear, excuses, or busyness rob you of healing. This book will shatter the silence, stir your soul, and remind you, you were never forgotten. You were set apart. Set Apart, the journey to find hope in times of shame, loneliness, and death, by author Virginia Dale Manning. Available now, because hope can't wait.
So, welcome back to the second half of Girl Talk Mental Health. And we have Miss Danielle here. She is giving you some great nuggets. If you are into sports, or if you know somebody is into sports, that, there's certain things that you could do besides being in physical health. You need to also have some mental health, emotional health, when dealing with being your best on the field. That's connected to being your best in the field as well, the emotional component. So, what message do you wish coaches, fans, or even your younger self understood about mental health and sports?
I would say, person before athlete, right? Making sure that we're focusing on our athletes as people first and athletes second. That really is important, because what happens is when an athlete's career comes to an end, they don't know who they are. I just had a session with a teenage high school football player this morning, and he said, "My parents only talk to me about football. I don't want to talk about football anymore. I want to be something else." And so that idea of parents, talk to your athletes about other things than just their sport. Coaches, get to know your athlete other than what they do on the field. How else do they spend their free time? What are they interested in? Really developing a full identity, not just an athlete. So I always say sports are what you do. It's not who you are. So that person before athlete, I think, is such a key piece for coaches, for parents, for loved ones of athletes. They are more than just an athlete.
So, do you have like a mantra or a quote or something that you say I'm putting you on the spot, huh? I
I
told you, we raw around here. We just,
Oh, that's right. I mean, I got lots of them. I'm really into quotes, actually, honestly. But I think, one, I mean, kind of just what I said, like student before athlete or person before athlete, getting to know the whole person. And again, because when our athletes are feeling good about themselves outside of their sport, when their sport doesn't go well, that's not their only sense of accomplishment. It's not their only sense of purpose. So if they have a bad game, that's okay. They know that they are also a daughter, a sister, a friend, a community member, a student. They have other things that they can pull self-esteem from. They can pull feeling good about themselves from, other than just sports. I go back to that injury, right? When an athlete only thinks their purpose is to be an athlete and they get injured, how do they feel good about themselves? How do they have purpose? How do they get out of bed in the morning if they're injured and they don't get to go be the superstar on the field? Right? Things are going to happen to our athletes. We want to really arm them with tools and support and structure to help them know that sports are awesome. I spent my entire life in athletics. There's so many great things about athletics, but we also know that we really want to promote our athletes to be more than just that, really the full identity.
Mhm. Now, did you get into the sports and athletes part because did you struggle with some identity or mental health when
Yeah.
when you were playing sports?
Yes, I would say that I played college sports for 2 years and I had college lacrosse here in upstate New York. And then I had to make a decision because it was not going as well as I wanted it to go. There was other things in my college career I wanted to explore, and I had to make that choice. Do I want to continue to be an athlete, or do I want to pursue other academic pursuits that I couldn't do at the same time? And that was a big challenge for me. How do I make this choice? Like being an athlete was so important to me. I grew up in a home where we were all athletes. We spent every moment playing sports, and I was kind of feeling torn. The interesting thing is, Virginia, my college lacrosse coach said to me after I decided to step away from the sport, she said to me, a local high school needs a lacrosse coach. Are you interested? And that's actually how I got into coaching. It was a great bridge from being the athlete to being the coach, where I could still pursue those other interests and still be involved in the sport. So it definitely was a period of conflict, of feeling lost a little bit, like who am I and what do I want to do? Trying to juggle these different things. And I really credit that coach that saw me for who I am and what I was really probably good at was probably more coaching than maybe playing at that part of my career.
Mhm.
And kind of transitioning to being that coach, and then kind of I coached for about 20 years after that, and I'm really thankful for those opportunities. But it was that feeling of conflict, that internal struggle of, who am I, who do I want to be, what am I good at? Like maybe what I thought was important at 16, 17, 18 is not as important at 20 years old.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
if a person doesn't have that coach or that positive mentor or support system to help them to, feel comfortable and confident in transitioning to a different role, what
Yeah.
do you say to that person who doesn't have that support?
I would say we have to look outside the box. Who could be that support? Who is somebody that they could talk to? I mean, maybe it is a professional, maybe it is a therapist or a counselor, maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's just someone in their community that they could talk through kind of, what gets them excited at this stage of life, right? What are their big dreams? What do they see for their future? And letting people know it's okay to leave things behind. It's okay to end a sports career, right? Because it's going to end. It's okay to leave it if there's something else you want to pursue, right? This
Mhm.
idea of like quitting is not a bad thing. Quitting, especially as an athlete, we are told never quit. Winners don't quit, athletes don't quit. But sometimes I think quitting is super healthy, right? It's allowing yourself to pursue other interests, other areas. And it's when something's done, something expires, if it's a relationship or a sport or an interest, it's time to move on. As humans, I think we're always growing, right? We want to continue to grow and explore and discover who we are. And so I think quitting is actually quite healthy, and it's tough for athletes to understand that. They see it as a weakness, but I actually see it as a strength.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good pointer there.
Mhm.
Well, we are at my favorite part of the show, and that is the spotlight question. Are you ready?
Woo.
All right.
You're,
If
you're
you
awesome.
could leave our audience with one powerful truth or practice to help thrive mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, what would it be?
Hmm. I would say prioritizing your mental health is just as important as prioritizing your physical health. There's no shame in mental health struggles. There's no shame in asking for help. I think it takes tremendous courage and, bravery, being brave to ask for help. You're not weak to ask for help. I think that all athletes should be seeking out support when they need it.
That's good.
You're not alone. You're not alone. That's, I think, the biggest thing. And it's okay not to be okay.
And people do think they're alone because they don't communicate with other people and they feel like, oh, I'm the only one with this issue. So I can't tell somebody that I'm
Yeah.
thinking of transitioning or that my mind is, telling me these
Yep.
things like which one do I believe? Do I believe this or do I believe that? So you are
Yep.
not in isolation. Other athletes, like when you're in school or in a classroom, they're like, no, no question is a dumb question
Yep.
because that same question other people want to know that same question
Yep.
but they just don't ask it, and that one person, you ask your question, then now here's everybody feeding into that one question, but it took that one person to be bold enough to ask that
Yeah.
question, or to, to talk about whatever issue they're having, so that they can get it taken care of, and then you can help the masses. In
Yep.
other words.
It's interesting you say that, because when I work with schools and coaches, I always bring young former athletes with me. So my presentations are a combination between storytelling from former college athletes, and then what I do is like kind of the psychoeducation, the skills, and things like that. Because I say, when you're a 16-year-old athlete, when you can see a early 20 something saying, hey, when I was struggling, when I went through this, they can tell their personal stories. The young athletes say, oh, I'm not alone. Right. I think that, that storytelling piece from these younger athletes is such a powerful thing. And then we combine that with the psychoeducation, the tools and the skills from me as a therapist. So it's a beautiful marriage of a presentation, because we don't want our athletes to feel alone. I also actually wrote a book. It's called The Athlete's Pocket Guide to Mental Health. And in this book, we also have storytelling. So we have storytelling and skill building, and stuff like that. So you can buy this on Amazon, An Athlete's Pocket Guide to Mental Health. Some great resources for coaches, for athletes, for parents too. Again, that mental health piece in athletics is so important. And again, that storytelling, you're not alone. People are out there, people are going through it. So let's break down that stigma. Let's say, hey, we all have mental health. How do we support one another and just start these conversations?
That's good. So
Yeah.
let the audience know where they can connect with you, and then any special offer, or once again repeat where they can buy your book and all of those good things about you.
Absolutely. So you can go to dgwellnessconsulting.com. There you'll find information about our programs for coaches and athletic teams and parents. You will also see information there about our coaching program. That's a 6-module program for athletes to connect directly one-on-one with an athletic wellness coach to talk about that mental and emotional agility, sleep and nutrition, identity outside of their sport. And they offer, when you go onto our website and you go to the referral form, if you say Girl Talk, you put it in the referral form, woohoo, you'll get 25% off that package. So 25% off the 6-module program for our athletes. Put in Girl Talk in the referral part for a special. Again, you can buy the book on Amazon, DG Wellness, an Athlete's Pocket Guide to Mental Health. You could also check out, I just have my normal website for my counseling business, which is www.daniellevallas.com. And of course, follow us on social media. We are on Instagram and Facebook. We're getting into TikTok finally. I'm breaking it down. We're starting TikTok now. So we're all over. So please reach out if you have questions about an athlete, yourself, your team that you work with. If you're a parent and you want to learn how to best support your athlete, please don't be a stranger. We have tons of resources to offer athletes around the country. If you're a high school athlete, college athlete, we even work with some professional athletes as well.
That's great. And don't forget your apparel, because I did order me
Oh,
a red shirt and the jogging set. I wanted to wear it today for your show, but it's too hot in Texas
yes.
right now. I'm like, ooh, I can't wear it. I can't wear it, but I can't wait until it gets cooler.
Yes.
And then I love the logo that's on the sleeve. Like, I had
Yep.
to find one. You had other ones that didn't have the logo on the sleeve. I'm like, nope, nope. I need this one with this
Yes.
logo on
Yes.
the sleeve. It's beautiful. I love it.
Thank you for the support. So what Virginia is talking about is I have a slogan company called Buffalo Believes, and we donate money from each purchase to a local mental health organization. And the whole idea is, again, starting the conversation. We have some apparel specifically for athletes. That's athlete specific with some cute slogans on it. We also have other slogans just to promote mental health and wellness, and adding some positivity. So we have hoodies and t-shirts and joggers, as Virginia said. So that's Buffalo Believes, www.buffalobelieves.com, or you can follow us on social media as well, just Buffalo Believes. And the whole idea of the name, believe, right? What we tell ourselves, we believe. What we believe matters. So that's the idea of changing the way that we think, having more positivity, really shaping our thoughts, really shape our emotions and our behaviors. And so we want to believe in you, right? Buffalo Believes is about believing in you, believing in your wellness, believing in your community. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's cute. I love it.
And I
So for
can't.
every man watching, your strength is not measured by your silence. For every woman, coach, parent, this episode shows why we must change the narrative around athletes and mental health. So subscribe to your Girl Talk Mental Health YouTube. Catch next week's episode where we share more life-saving mental health tips. Go connect with Danielle, buy her book, buy some of her cute apparel. I can't wait to wear mine. And if this conversation moved you, share it. Share it with an athlete, share it with a coach, share it with a parent of an athlete. I mean, she's here to support you, and support is what you need to break out of the shell so that everybody can know your mental health is just as important as your physical health. So someone you know may be battling in silence right now. So let's be their lifeline. And we want to thank you, Danielle, for being an awesome special guest on Girl Talk Mental Health. Don't be a stranger. Connect with her, connect with Girl Talk Mental Health. And we will see you all next time for another positive, impactful episode of Girl Talk Mental Health. Until next time.
Thanks, Virginia.
Thank you for joining us for Girl Talk Mental Health. Remember, your mental health is your wealth. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to at Virginia Del Manning.